Good morning. It's time for another Tom and Shane podcast. We're happy to be here with you. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and I know yours too, probably, Shane. We're going to talk about how to sell anything to anyone. How to sell anything to anyone. And that should be a fun topic to start off with today.
Well, of course. I mean, at the bottom end of all of what we've talked at is sales, market, and cash flow, and generating a profit from all of that. But you have to have a sale to for anything to happen. So yeah, tips to sell is a great topic.
Yep, that's for sure. Nothing happens till someone sells something or someone buys
Buy
something. If
something.
you want to do it on the other end of the spectrum, but obviously, selling is a process, Shane. There's a process you go through. You greet the people, you show the product and service, you talk about it, you close the sale, and it's pretty easy, right? Nothing
That's
to
right.
it.
Everything in the 21st century comes down to protocol. In what manner do you do something? Because there's so many aspects of it. So you establish a protocol of things to follow, and that's what we're going to suggest today. Like I think one of the most important ones that you started off with here on your list was the greeting, and the
Yep.
greeting is important because you don't want to start off immediately aggressively wanting to sell. So you want to make it somewhat personal, and how long you've been
Mhm.
looking for something, and have you been out long today? Are you in the neighborhood? And what colors do you like? I mean, because if they're looking at something specific, do you see the right color there? So an initial greeting is always really, really so important.
Well, you need to establish a relationship of trust between, I've always said that rather than being a salesperson, you should be the customer's assistant buyer. You should be advising
Good
the
point.
customer. Yeah, you should be on the same side of the table, not across the table from each other.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a
so, uh,
great analogy,
yeah.
and or you should be a friend. You should maybe even go so far as to sort of put you in a position as a friend or a family member, and basically you're there to help look at specifically what they're for, because a lot
Hmm.
of people are they're constantly consuming, and they'll take friends or family along really to more or less stop them from buying more than what they just went to get.
Well, we don't want them to buy less.
That's right. But, some people, they gotta be
Yeah.
restrained. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that you're not always in front of the person that you're not always face to face. And I know you being a broker at one time in your life, you did a lot of phone sales. And uh, what are the tips to establish rapport on the phone?
Well, the first one, of course, you need to be polite and welcoming. So I always found myself in a position when I was on the phone of, you know, respecting the other person at the other end and knowing seeing anyone. So you want to have a happy voice, and people can tell. So that was number one. Number two, not don't just be aggressive about what you want. Sort of move into what you want, and you can always do that by asking questions. Are you the receptionist or are you a secretary? Things of this type. That bears some communication between you, so it sort of puts them in a hesitant way of saying goodbye, unless they're just you know buried to the wall and I have to put you on hold, click. So
Hmm.
yeah, phone sales are very important, as you say, especially in the 21st century with social media and a non brick and mortar setup. You'll find yourself very often on phone calls, conference calls, joint calls, and in even joint video calls now, like Zoom, right?
Hmm.
So you always have to make an effort to pay attention. Like always look at the camera because people are very objective about how you handle yourself in a video context.
Hmm.
So these are the kinds of things you want to follow and do it in a way that you're humble, but most of all, listen.
Yeah.
That's always the single best
Yeah,
thing. Listen, yeah.
that's true. And also remember the whoever is asking the questions is in control of the conversation. So
Absolutely, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like the attorney, you never want to ask a witness a question that you don't know how they're going to answer it.
That's
So
very true. That's yeah, incredibly right. Yeah.
so all of your questioning and everything should have to do with the customer. And that's going to bring us to our next point, features and benefits, because this is the thing that this is what you're actually selling. You're selling emotion. When emotion and logic come in conflict, emotion always wins. So that's my mantra for sales. And so, there's all kinds of features of products, but unless that product is a benefit to the customer, unless that feature is a benefit to the customer, car has 4 doors. That's a feature. The benefit, grandma and grandpa can get out easier. They don't have to climb over the seats and, the kids and the dogs and everything else. So if you have those things, then 4 doors may be a benefit to you. If you don't, then it may not be. So that's the question and answer part that you were just alluding to, Shane, is we've got to find out what features this person is looking for and translate those into benefits, because the more benefits, the less objectionable price is going to be.
Yeah, and another aspect of that, accordingly, is on the feature side. Is this a gift? Is it a personal gift? Is it a business gift? Are you sending a thank you gift? I mean, there's all types of gifts that people will go out
Mhm.
and look to get, buy. Pretty like with cards, there's thank you cards for all kinds of things, and there's all kinds of other types of cards, birthday cards, anniversary cards, and so forth. So yeah, the feature of the why, what, and where sort of where is so important in the conversation, and then the benefits. I when I had bars that I ran, or my own businesses that I ran, and I'd have staff meetings either once a week, once every 2 weeks, or even just once a month on a Saturday. Number one, the feature was you're paid to come. And then a benefit is one of the first things halfway through the meeting, dealing with, comments from me first. And then before we started the questions that anyone had, I'd always ask everyone, do we need to nominate, somebody that's done really well this month? And they would make a choice. They would decide. And I wouldn't put their picture up and make them the employee of the month or anything. But then I'd turn to that person and I'd say, well, you get, basically 2 doors, 2 curtains, 2 choices. You either get the gift or you can have $100, and I can tell you 90% of the time they wanted $100 and didn't
Yeah.
want to know what the gift was, which is funny. But, it was always the incentive of trying to create a positive atmosphere where you work,
Yeah.
and that the people around you support you.
Mhm.
And that's why I went through that process, because I saw huge benefits in it. And it helped, because people will help you people always help you, especially if they will. And more importantly, they'll help you knowing you don't have to worry about asking, that they do.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, and this is an analogy that I use a lot, is my pen analogy. If let's say I have a pen I bought in a nice stationery store, I bought it for say $25. It's a nice pen, it's not a Bic or something like that. It's a nice pen, and if I was going to sell you this pen, um, and I would tell you, yeah, it's not new. I've used this pen, so what would it be worth to you? And you might say, well, half price, $12.50,
Mhm.
would be reasonable. And I say, well, the other thing I should tell you about the pen is it doesn't work. And now what's it worth to you? I mean, what are you going to do with a pen that doesn't work? And then I would say the reason it doesn't work is that instead of ink in the cartridge, there's an ounce of solid gold. So now what's it worth? So every time I gave you information about the pen, your perception of the price of the product changed. And that's what information does. Information makes the price go up or makes the price come down in the perception of the customer.
Another terrific analogy, because I'm going to tell you how I work towards gaining more information from people. But more importantly, when I moved from the food and beverage industry to finance, the most important thing you needed to know about people, particularly if they were a startup and they were looking for funding for the startup, you needed to get a measure of their greed. So I always had a cup on my desk of number 3 pencils, not sharpened. And, at that point of the conversation where we'd gone through what they're doing, looked at the business plan, the financial plan, the marketing plan, the income plan, I would lean forward, I'd pull out, an unsharpened number 3 pencil, and I'd hold it up and I'd say, now this is a magic wand. And I want you to know this is a magic wand, and you only get it for like 2 minutes, the next conversation we're having in the next 2 minutes. And this isn't anything about, world peace or, no one's starving. This is about you. So I'd reach over and I'd hand them the pen. I said, now you're in possession of the magic wand. So where do you want to be in a year, and how much do you want to be worth? And they would go through an explanation, and of course, then they're always looking to say, gee, did I answer that right? And then I'd look at them and go, and 10 years from now, where perhaps would you see yourself 10 years from now? And what kind of value do you think you might have? And so ultimately it moved into not just the potential for financing them, but also for getting them as a client, towards retirement. So I used it not only as a tool to understand their level of greed, but to possibly engage them in being a client. So yeah, these types of things that people find they do in sales, as you point out so well, is to generate more information to help accelerate the selling process.
Yeah, the benefits have to be there. The benefits will outweigh the price in many cases. So I've found that it's much easier. People will go up in price easier than they'll go down in price.
That's incredibly true, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing we've got to talk about, very important, is the closing. And the biggest sales challenge, I guess, something like 68% of customers asked why they didn't buy. They said, no one asked me. No one asked me to buy. No one asked me for the sale. So the closing is probably the most fearful part of selling for any new salesperson. If you're just starting out, you don't say, well, buy this, please buy this because I need the money. You'll say, instead, a good close would be, can I deliver this on Thursday, or would Monday be better?
Yeah, or the classic one is, can I wrap that up for you?
Yeah.
Or would you like to go to the front and I can help you make that final decision and purchase the product? Yeah. They're classic lines, and you need to learn them. Because
I just need your signature. I just need your signature here. And so, yeah. But really, it's amazing that people are so fearful of asking for the sale. They go through this presentation, they go through, presenting the product and everything, and they kind of expect the customer to say, yeah, let's go. And the customer may be waiting for you to say, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And one of the things that I find fascinating when I'm in a store, I can always tell if somebody's on commission or salary.
Yeah.
You can always tell. You just can't. They're not really interested in closing the sale if they're on salary. I mean, they'll make the effort. But if they're on a commission basis, they get a minimum, salary, and then they generate a commission based on what they sell. They'll be a little bit not more aggressive, but more interested or more willing to help you than someone that's just there, on an hourly basis or on salary. It's
well, and also too, I think commission people just because of what you just said, that it's part of their income. They know the product they're talking about.
Yes.
Where a salaried person may not have taken the time to, learn the features or benefits of that product, and they're just selling it by price.
That's
The
right.
customers either the price or not. So, but you're right. Yeah, you're right. The sales, the commission person, normally will know the product, be able to show you two or three different products with the features you want, and show the benefits of why you should buy that product, or why you
Mm.
should have that product, or why it's a value at that price.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a national, furniture store chain that's been around for years. Starts with a B. I'm not going to mention the name outline, but it's fascinating because you go in there and every time I've gone in there, the salesman's told me I'm not on commission, and and then you're not surprised because you ask them about this product, they don't know.
Yeah.
Then you ask them, "Do you have it?" No. Here, there. Where's this product here that's in this flyer you sent me? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they all have iPads now, so they're clicking on. Well, let me check
Mhm.
about that online, and let me check it and see if we have an inventory.
Yeah.
Because they clearly have really very little interest in
Mhm.
wanting to know the floor, wanting
Yeah.
to know what the inventory is, mostly because there's no great benefit for them. So
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, it's a true contrast, and the motivation in sales can be very big. Because it's quite fascinating. As a motivator, it's
Yeah.
interesting because it's clearly a number of human emotions that generate the willingness to want to help someone if you get a benefit.
Yeah. Yes. Sales are the only profession I know of, Shane, where it's possible for you to make more than your boss.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can make
Yeah.
more than your boss if you're a
Yeah.
good salesperson. So it's
Back in the
possible.
70s, back in after the crash of 72 to 4, in 75, Merrill Lynch commissioned a study, and there were three things that they want to know about sales, and the things we're talking about, how to generate more clients and more interest and more sales, or, get people interested in wanting to buy. And the second thing was how many people could an individual salesman manage? And then the third thing in this commission was attire. And I bring attire up because that was that was it. That was the white shirt with a tie,
Mhm.
and preferably a black suit. And that was Merrill Lynch. You look like some
Mhm.
guy in the Secret Service, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is the guys in the Secret Service wear just black ties too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You could throw a little color on
Yeah,
if
hence
you
Men
wanted
in
to.
Black. Yeah,
Yeah.
Men in Black.
Yeah. Well, when I did retail, the only stipulation I had for employees, you dress as well or a little better than the customers. You're
That's right.
clean. Obviously we're in Montana. Jeans not a problem as long as they're clean jeans. You know, with no holes and
That's right.
whatever, and a collared shirt of some kind. You look semi-professional. You don't want to look too, depending on what business you're working in. If you're at a hardware store, you're probably not going to be suit and tie at a hardware store, or a feed store, but you will be in a bank or savings and loan. So that's just the look of
That's
that
right.
profession. So
And that
yeah.
started, of course, that transition started in the middle '80s when Bill Gates showed up in a golf shirt and then khakis, right, with a
Yeah.
sports
And
jacket that he take off,
Steve Jobs was in t-shirts
and jeans
and
all the
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah.
And so, another change in traditions, and that's fine. It's people adapting to the new reality of the work environment today. It's like now all these companies are like caught between a rock and a hard place because they found that people can be just as productive working from home, and they don't need to spend these vast amount of money to lease office
Mhm.
space and equipment and maintain them and so on and so forth. So yeah,
Yeah.
it'll adapt, and like we said a year ago, I
Mhm.
made the call a year ago. If I was a property manager for an office building, I'd be making deals with them the ones that have the 20 years on left on their lease or 10,
Yeah.
buy it out and then take that money and turn that building into apartments and condos, because that's what they're going to end up in. In the next 10 years, I don't know that you'll see many office buildings anymore. I really don't.
You may not. Yeah, you may not. That's for sure. Yeah, you may not see that at all. So, well, the last word on selling, we want to leave you with a couple of good tips, I guess. Whatever is, make sure using the customer's name. Meet the person, learn their name, remember their name, and use it during the sale as you talk to them. Use their name as you're talking to them, because that's Dale Carnegie said the sweetest sound anyone can hear is the sound of their own name. If I called you Bob, you'd probably correct me and no, I'm Shane.
Yeah. Or I'm Bob to my friends too. I'm Robert. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. that would be another way of doing it. Yeah. But yeah, very important to do that. Establish that rapport between yourself and the customer, that you're not just there to take their money, you're there to help them. And if you can convey that to them, then they're going to trust you, and your presentation and what you present to them is going to be more palatable to them. They're going to accept it more readily, and you'll be further along in the sales process doing it that way.
It's funny because I'll just give you one hint for me. You want your customers to come into your store happy. So if you have a single door in a brick and mortar store, great. But if you have two, unlock both of them. Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Don't put a sign, use other door.
Yeah.
I hate that. I
find it abysmal. And it's, of course you can look at a door nowadays and it's got a bar over one door. So, that's the one that is open.
Yeah.
But, if you have two nice doors, unlock them both. Because, you don't want to dissuade anyone. I literally have gone to go into a store with nice doors, and I grabbed one. It wasn't locked. It was locked. I walked away. I didn't even check to see if the other one. And I look as I walk away, and if they caught me, they're looking at like, why didn't you come?
Why didn't you come in?
The other door. Why didn't you check the other door?
Why are you stupid?
Yeah, well, I don't care. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and you make an excellent point there, because it's the little things that customers notice. They'll notice if your store's unkempt, if it's dirty, if it's dusty, if stuff hasn't been moved around, for since the last time they were in, or ever. Are there stuff piled everywhere? Are there all kinds of signs, restocking fee, no returns without receipt, no shoes, no shirt, no service. I mean, come on. Do you really need those things?
Yeah. And the Victorian age was the age of window shopping. Up until that time, no one had windows. Glass was expensive. And, and so like in the last 150 years, part of the shopping experience is window shopping. You literally walk down the street and you're not really out other than to walk. You have no real interest. So you check the store windows to see what's in them. So, if you have a brick and mortar store and you have show windows, restaurants don't, but stores do, make sure you're, every 2 weeks to a month, you change it up, because people will notice.
Well, they will.
They walk. Sure. If they're going window shopping, they walk by your store for like maybe even a month, and you don't change it. They're, like you say, people pay attention to it, and they go, I guess they're a bit lazy in there. They don't have many products to display.
No, they don't. Yeah. Well, as I've said many times, Facebook won't pay you to post videos. Neither will Instagram. Neither will Twitter. But YouTube does, and we make these with StreamYard. StreamYard, there's a link in the description below. Very easy to use, obviously, because we're no geniuses when it comes to technology. So it's easy for us to do. So we appreciate if you'd give them a try. And also, hey, don't forget to subscribe. Give us your best sales tip in the comments below and ring the notification bell. You'll never miss another podcast. And of course, we're on Patreon. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the show, you get a lot of perks for that. And those are available also in the description below. So we hope that you will take a look at those things. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for us, I think, Shane. So we hope we've given you some sales tips that will help you out. And if not, leave a question in the comments below, and Shane and I will be happy to answer them for you. So we will see you on our next video. That'll be on Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So till then, we'll see you then.